Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. You know what? I don't have my laptop. I need to go get my laptop. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. I am unable to see the chat, so if you will give me just a sec, I will remedy that. Let's see here. Where is that? Here we are. And let me check YouTube and make sure we're up on YouTube. You guys able to hear the music? I hope you guys are all doing great. I hope you've had a productive morning so far. I know I have. Oh, sorry. I know I have. Been trying to get some last minute things done and ready for the show. Today's going to be a good show too. It's going to be darn cool because we're going to be talking to a new old friend of mine, which is interesting. Let's see. Bear with me for just a minute. I'm gonna go grab my laptop. I'll be right back. Okay, let's see here. Tell you what, I wish that my iPads would change the Wi-Fi as I walk through the house. I wish it would realize, hey, stronger signal in here, better get on it. And I know it's supposed to. I know Wi-Fi is supposed to work like that, but good night. Sometimes it just doesn't. And what's frustrating is that I have to turn it off and turn it back on in order for it to go, oh, you mean there's more around here for me to look at? Drives me crazy. Thank you. Move this one over. Set this one up. There we go. Now that one's on. Okay. And I've got my TriCaster here, and I've got a cool app on iPad that lets me monitor the audio levels on my iPad, or monitor the audio levels on my TriCaster, which I have the screen here for my TriCaster, and it lets me monitor. See, look at that. Check. See how it got big? It lets me monitor and change them, so I don't have to actually walk over to my mixer across the room over here, which is darn cool. I'm not gonna lie, I like that. All right. Let's see. So I think I'm going to do YouTube over on this one. And I'm going to do... No, I think I'm going to do Facebook over on this one. And I'm going to do YouTube over on the other one. Still haven't found a good way to really get comments and stuff on Facebook more than just like 2 or 3 at a time. Still trying to figure all that out. So if anybody's got any advice, I would greatly appreciate it. So hello to everyone that is over on the YouTube channel. I'm going to go see if there is anyone. Let's see here. Okay. So I've got Jordan over there in the chat room, we got over here? Okay, so a couple of things. If you are watching live, I would love it if you guys would do me the honor of sharing this on Facebook. Whoa. There we go. I wish you would do me the honor of sharing this on Facebook. Share it to your audience. Share it to your in your timeline, or if you have a page or what have you. I would love it if you would share. The more people we get in here, the better the show is going to be. This show, CTA Live, is basically a. Oh, hang on, forgot one thing. I want to put the background on here before we get going officially. There we go. And I got one more thing to do. Set, all that's set. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, so let's see here. Test, test. All right, that's good. So everyone that is watching, say hi and introduce yourself. You guys all get to know each other, all that sort of stuff. And we will get started officially here in just a minute. If anybody has any questions or anything, then please feel free to ask. I would love to be as much of a help to you guys as I possibly can. That's the whole goal with Church Training Academy. And by the way, if you guys don't know, I'm the founder of a website called churchtrainingacademy.com. And you can see on my lower third, like right there. Let's see, where is it? There we go. Right there, churchtrainingacademy.com. That is a site and a community that I'm putting together where we learn about church media and technology. We learn how to exploit media and technology in order to fulfill the Great Commission, both inside our church and outside our churches. So that is what Church Training Academy is about. And I've got a lot of free content that I'm building for that website, as well as member-only content. And part of the free content is this show, CTA Live. And this show is basically going to be where I can come to you, the audience, and share with you what I'm working on, share with you some new tips and tricks and ideas, and things that are going to be really useful to you and of value to you. And then also get you guys in front of, or get some other people in front of you guys that are killing it in church media and killing it in marketing and in social media and in production and live streaming and all this sort of stuff. People that have, whether they have resources or whether they have expertise in a certain area, I want to be sure to bring those to you as well. And that's one of the things I'm going to be doing today. And we will get started in just a second. I'm going to share this. It's funny, I always forget to share. There we go. Share now public. Been shared to your timeline. I'm also going to go share it to the Church Training Academy, CTA. That's what the CTA, Church Training Academy. The CTA members only insiders page, which for our members, that is where they have a private group where they can ask questions to each other, where we can interact directly, where I can coach them and help them, and it's a burgeoning community. Let's see here. There it is, CTA Insiders, and I'm gonna post it. And I know I said I was going to start at 11 o'clock, and that is the whole idea here. Gummit. I went the wrong way. If you guys are just joining us, this is the first episode of CTA Live, Church Training Academy Live. and we are going to be going over some things relating today to live streaming. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so if you guys are going to chat in the chat room, in the comment section on Facebook Live, I would love to interact with you there. The interview that we're doing today is a pre-recorded interview. Our guest was not able to join me right now. He's CEO of a growing company, so obviously his time is scattered all throughout the week. So I was able to interview him earlier this week, and I'm going to be playing that back for you here in just a little bit. I think you guys are really going to dig it. I'll tell you, this is one of the products that I'm most excited about, really in a long time. What it means for live streaming in general, and what it means for churches and ministries in specific is huge. I'm curious, is everybody able to hear the music okay? Can I get a yes or a hello or something in one of the chat rooms? Over on YouTube, Jordan says CTA is awesome. Jordan is a very wise man. I'm not going to lie. He's got something there. And you know what? I need to record this. Let me set that up. All right, let's see. Let me test a couple of things real quick here. Okay, good deal. Okay, so Jordan says he can hear it. I think I got both CTA live chats working. Good. Let's see. It doesn't look like anybody has joined us yet in the chat room over on Facebook Live, but that's okay. We are just starting out. This audience is going to grow. Be sure, guys, if you would, to share this with your Facebook community or with your friends on YouTube that are interested in church media, church marketing, social media, basically media and technology as used in the church for various things, whether it's for internal communications and internal learning and that sort of stuff, or whether it's for going out beyond the walls of the church. It's one of the things that church media can be used for, especially live streaming and social media and all that, is to actually take the conversation that you start on Sunday morning at the live event, which, I don't know if you guys realize it or not, but, churches are like media companies. You know that, right? They're event companies. So if you step back and look at it objectively, every church is an event company or a media company. They are a publishing company where they're publishing content on a regular basis every week. In this case, 90% of the churches are producing a live event once, twice, maybe 3 times a week, and bringing in an audience to watch that live event. It's kind of interesting when you think about it from in those terms, right? It's not us going to church to worship, which obviously that's what we're doing as churchgoers. As Christians, we go to gather with our friends and to worship our Lord together. But when you take a step back and look at it objectively, it's actually no different than a company or a venue that puts on regular live shows each week. And I don't want that to have a negative connotation. You need to understand that. It's not a I don't mean live show as in to debase or to take away from the value of the information or the content that's being created and the word that's being preached. So be sure that you keep that in the in the proper container when I'm talking about that. But that's one of the things that I try to do is I try to look objectively at what it is that we're doing as churches and as ministers and as um, people that are taking the message of Christ and putting it out for people to consume. If you look objectively at that, you can effectively broaden the reach of getting that message out. So we're going to start here in just a sec. John Duvall, I'm here and on Facebook. Are you seeing the Facebook comments yet? It's weird, John. I am not. I am not seeing the Facebook comments. Why is that? Why am I not? Maybe it's... There we are. I see them now. There we are. Okay. So I was in the comment section as myself, not as Church Training Academy, which is weird. I don't understand that. Still trying to figure out all the Facebook Live stuff. I've been doing Facebook Live for a long time, off and on. Been doing it with clients and stuff like that, but it's well, I'll tell you in a sec. It's a new it's kind of a new thing for me to be a one-man show, doing all the production and all that stuff myself, and hosting and all that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring our music down. All right, and we are going to get started. I'm going to check one more thing. Let's check the comments here. Let's see, John Duvall, we are here, Dave. Chris, your voice sounds great too. Aw, gee, thanks, Chris. By the way, Chris Ochinsky in the chat room here on Facebook, that's a girl. It's not a guy. For like the first 20 hours of knowing her, like from chatting the evening before and then actually getting onto a live coaching call with her, thought I was dealing with Christopher, not Christine. Totally freaked me out when a woman answered the phone and I was like, "Hi, I'm supposed to be meeting with your husband," and she's like, "What?" Yes, I'm supposed to be meeting with Chris. I'm Chris, and I'm like, okay, it's weird. Anyway, funny story. And she's going to call me Gary. So when she says Gary, she's talking to me. Let's see here. Sounds groovy. Perfect. Okay. And let's see. Oh, hey, this is Toby. Are you streaming now? Yes, where are you? By the way, I want to say thank you to a couple of folks that have been helping me throughout this entire process of both getting this show ready and getting my my website and all that sort of stuff ready. And I'll do that in the official thing once we get started here. So we're at 11:15. I'm trying to start the show every week at 11 o'clock, which means I'm going to be going live about 10 minutes before so that I can get the chat rooms open and people can get notified and get in and all that sort of stuff. Today I was still doing some last minute stuff, so I am starting just a little bit late. But the idea of the show is we're going to be, roughly a 30 to 45 minute show, depending on whether I'm doing an interview with somebody. My interviews I'm going to try to keep at about 30 minutes. Sometimes the interviews are going to go long. Sometimes the interviews are going to be so chock full of information that I may want to break them up into 2 parts, and so we may do one part one week and the other part the next week, or something like that. And this show is a work in progress, so I need suggestions from you guys as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Oops, I want to check one thing real quick. Bear with me just a second, guys. Okay. All right, guys, here we go. I'm set up for that. Okay, here we go. Hey guys, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Church Training Academy Live, or CTA Live as we call it. This is a show that is dedicated to church media and to everything having to do with church media. This is the live show for churchtrainingacademy.com and churchtrainingacademy.com, which is my website. Churchtrainingacademy.com is a website and community where small and medium-sized churches can learn how to use and exploit media and technology in order to change people's lives. That is basically what we do here. And if you go to churchtrainingacademy.com, you'll see there is some free content there, and very soon the members-only section is going to be opening up. So when you have a membership at churchtrainingacademy.com, you're going to be able to get all kinds of training on literally everything that has to do with church media and marketing and social media and live streaming and production and all that kind of stuff that goes into helping to spread the gospel both inside the church and outside the church. That's what churchtrainingacademy.com is. My name is Dave Curley, and I am the founder. So I want to welcome you to episode 001, and just tell you, I'm really, really thankful that you guys are here. This is the first episode. This is a kind of a live trial run here. I've been doing a little practicing this week and getting things set up, and I'll tell you just a little bit about myself if you guys don't already know me. I've been doing live streaming and video production and web video and all that sort of stuff for like 20 years. So I started back in 1991 when I went to Howard Payne University, a small Baptist university in Brownwood, Texas, about 2,000 students, 1,800 students at the time. Got into the radio and television department. It was really cool because I was at a small college with a small radio and television department, and because of that, I was able to jump right in literally before the semester started and start learning how to do stuff. So we started off with a live, it was a live-to-tape show. We had two shows. We had a Christian music show, music videos, and then we had a show called Week in Review, which was a local and countywide news magazine type deal that we would do each week. And so while my friends were going to UT and other big universities and stuff and getting into the radio and television and film, they weren't touching equipment and doing all this kind of stuff until like they're late in their sophomore years or junior and senior years. And I was able to go in like a week before classes started, and we started making shows and stuff. So it was really cool. So I've got a lot of experience doing this. And I got into the web as the internet really came into its own, 94, 95, 96, 97, as it really started to become something that we knew was going to be a force, that was going to change the world. I started doing video and trying to get video on the web. So I've been doing it since the days of like postage stamp size video, small things with low frame rates and everything got jerky, and it was horrible, but it was there, and I was able to get it out. And I was, of course, doing audio and all this, and I was putting audio on our church's website and putting video on our church's website back then, and it was a laborious. I was I was taking VHS tapes and had a computer with and it was a slow computer, but it was able to let me hook up a VCR to it, and I would like take my video camera or VHS tape and I would transfer it in there, and then I would edit it and get it all done and compressed into this really tiny little file. And anyway, I think I'll do a blog article or something and see if I can come up with some of that stuff and show you guys some of the stuff that I was doing when I first started doing that. Anyway, move forward to about 2008, and I started doing production and doing production for clients and stuff. Up until that point, I'd done a little bit here and there, and I'd done marketing, and I was like the director of marketing for this company and a marketing guy at this company, and I was doing some video off and on throughout those years. But about 2008, it was like, okay, this is going to put food on my table, so I'm going to do this full time. And that's when I took that plunge and that humongous step of faith and started doing it all full time. And in doing that, I hooked up with some folks that were podcasters that were doing. I mean, they were feeding themselves doing podcasting. The iPod video had come out, and the video iPod. Remember, first Steve Jobs says, "Who would ever want to watch video on a small screen?" And then a few months later, he releases the iPod video, and that's when everything really took off, and podcasting, both audio and video, just like went through the roof. And I actually hooked up with a girl named Callie Lewis. She goes by Luria Petrucci, which is her given name. Callie was her stage name. And she and her husband at that time had started a show called Geek Brief TV, and they hired me to do the editing. And so did several hundred episodes of that, and then we shut that show down, and she and I and another guy started Geek Beat TV, and that was in 2010, and we ran that till mid-2015, and then we separated and started doing our own things, and she's got her business and her production company and all that, and I've got mine, and I'm doing Church Training Academy, and that's where we are. So that's a brief synopsis. All that to say, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing live video and live streaming and video production and social media and all that sort of stuff forever, it seems now. So I want to welcome everybody that's in the chat rooms. We are simul streaming. Is that what we're going to call it? Simulcasting, simul streaming, multi-streaming. We are. Let's see. There we go. I'm checking YouTube. So I'm simul streaming to YouTube and to Facebook Live. So basically, pick your poison. Whichever ecosystem you like to frequent, or wherever you think the best quality and the best interaction is, by all means, do it. The YouTube version is what is going to be put on the website. And if you take a look right down here, if it's not up yet because the show's not edited and published. This is the live recording here. But if you go to churchtrainingacademy.com/001, that is where episode 001, this episode, is going to be housed. So when I'm done here, I'm going to edit this show and trim out any of my, foibles and mess ups. I mean, this is live, so there's going to be breaks and mess ups and accidents. Things are going to happen. I'm going to try to do as smooth a show as I can, but inevitably, things are going to happen, and we're not going to be perfect. In which case, I'm going to trim. See, like right now, I just did an adjustment to the audio. Sorry. So I'm going to trim it and get it, ready for public consumption, as it were. And I'll be putting out a video podcast of this that you'll be able to subscribe to on YouTube. You will be able to subscribe to it on YouTube, but also you'll be able to get it on iTunes. There's also going to be an audio version that you'll be able to get on iTunes. So pick your poison, whichever you like to do. I would suggest subscribing to both. And the reason I say that is because there's going to be times like today where I'm interviewing somebody, and a bulk of this show is going to be perfect for audio consumption. So you can listen to it in the car while you're driving to work, or get it in your headphones while you're doing yard work or whatever. And then there's going to be some times where it's going to be more hands-on, and I may be walking you through some live training. That's one of the things that I really enjoy doing, is answering questions and helping people reach that aha moment. So I'm going to be doing things like that. Some of these things are going to be things that I end up putting in the member-only section of Church Training Academy. Some of it is going to be out here for everybody to have access to. Sometimes there's going to be things that you'll be able to get access to only through this show, and there's going to be stuff that is only available for members at churchtrainingacademy.com. So that is, like right now, I'm going to have to trim some of this out because I think I'm rambling, and the reason is because I'm tired. I was up very late last night. Y'all, we have a daughter that ended up taking a little bit of medicine that she wasn't supposed to take, and so we were like watching her to make sure everything was going to be okay. So we were up till like 2 in the morning. So parenting. Anyway, I'm curious to know if you guys are currently live streaming at your church. If you are, let me know in the chat room. If you're not, I'm curious to know why. And I'll tell you, if you guys go to, don't do it now, do it in a little bit, or pop another window. But if you're thinking about live streaming, if you're curious about live streaming, most of the people I talk to in churches, say that they know they need to live stream, they don't know how, or they don't know what to do, what to buy. They don't know. In a lot of cases, they don't even know what is possible with live streaming. A lot of people think that live streaming is live streaming the service, but there is so much more to it. There's something like this, where I've got something a formal, type production that I'm doing, like your event each week, with your Sunday morning service, or your Sunday night service, or Wednesday night Bible study, or whatever you guys do at your church. If your church is larger, you may have services throughout the week. I mean, there's big churches that do that. There's small churches that have Saturday night services because most people work on Sunday. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. But anyway, a lot of people think that streaming is only getting that and putting that out on the website. A lot of people don't know what to do with it after. A lot of folks don't know how to physically do that. A lot of people don't even think about the other aspects of streaming, the in-the-moment live streaming that they can be doing. So I've got a guide called Live Streaming for Churches the Easy Way that is a free guide for you guys. And if you go to churchtrainingacademy.com/streameasy, you can get that for free. And I kind of designed it, number one, to open your eyes to what's available and what is possible for you guys, but then also to help you get started like now. So there's some things in there that, without buying any equipment, without just basically using what you have, you could start adding live streaming to your ministry now. Like, by the time I'm done here, you could start doing it. And I would encourage you to do that. Experiment with it. Anyway, that guide is for you guys. So go get it, devour it. It's not too long. It's, 7-8 pages, something like that. But it'll show you basically what can be done, and hopefully birth some ideas in your head about how you guys can apply live streaming in various forms to your church's ministries. Now, today, I had the opportunity earlier this week to interview the founder and CEO of a company called Boxcast. Now, Boxcast makes this. Let's see, there we go. Well, it's out of focus. Boxcast. This little device is a wonder. He's going to explain it, okay? He's going to talk about the company and how they came up with the idea and why they're doing it. It is rare in the technology industry to come across a company that has a real heart for ministry and for serving the body of Christ, and I found one. I'm really excited about it. I've been dealing with okay, I was just told that the Facebook live stream died. So bear with me just a second, guys. Okay, I know it's working on YouTube. Hang on one second. I don't think that's the case because I'm looking at it on Facebook Live. Okay, so where was I? See, live. That's what we're doing. So like I said, I've been doing this for so many years, and I've been dealing with large companies with YouTube and Ustream and Google and all these sort of, and to come across a company that is playing in the same circles that those companies are, and competing in some cases directly against them, and in some ways surpassing them, but that at its core, a big group of the people that work for that company and that started that company have a heart for Christ and a heart for ministry. That's pretty rare. So I want to go ahead and play this interview for you. He was not able to join us today live, so I recorded the interview earlier this week, and I'll tell you, it's going to be good. I'm hoping, again, that this will open your eyes to just how powerful and easy live streaming can be. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Mr. Gordon Daly. Today I'm talking to Gordon Daly, the CEO and founder of Boxcast, a kind of an all-in-one streaming solution, that hardware and software working in concert together to stream media. And thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And tell me, how did you guys start Boxcaster? I mean, where did it come from? I mean, did you like wake up one night with an epiphany, or I mean, how'd all this happen?
Well, first off, thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be here. The story on our start is a curious tale of all things, a funeral home director who said, I think that it'd be really nice if I could make it possible, just like they do streaming in Vegas, to do streaming for my funeral services. And when we first heard that, our reaction was that we thought it was kind of a silly thought because, I mean, come on, who would really want to watch a funeral service? But that was just,
Yeah,
I think
that's not compelling TV.
it's not compelling TV. And then we realized, through once he described it to us, how important it was to a handful of people when they couldn't be there for that moment. I mean, we're talking about a family who's grieving the loss of someone that is dear to them, and they can't oftentimes travel to be there in person. And this is just turns out to be a really, really helpful part of the grieving process for families dealing with this. And when he described it to us, he said, well, hey, this is going to be private. Families need this. It's a part of them coming to terms with what's happened. And, when we thought of it in light of what the needs are of the people that wanted to broadcast and see it, it made a lot of sense to us. And so, oddly enough, we got our start with a small funeral home. And very quickly we realized that there was a lot more applications that needed exactly what they needed. And that was just a really, really simple way, without having to know anything about technology, to make it possible for the experience to be shared with lots of other people.
Okay, so did you guys already have like something on the table that you were working on and someone came to you and said, we need to use it? Or there was the need and you sat down and said, let's start coding something? Or I mean, how did that happen? I mean, you're walking down the street and the guy tapped your shoulder, or what?
No, we were moonlighting as just web developers, right, at the time. And I've got a computer engineering background and even a master's degree, but none of my team lets me touch the keyboard when it comes to programming or coding, right? So I was a little bit of the business mind of it, but we were just looking for really neat applications where we could build a solution, and we built him a website that allowed him to schedule his funerals when they were happening and let people see on the website kind of the obituaries that would be kind of entered in there. And he just said, hey, this is an add-on thing I'd like to add. We said, oh, are you kidding me? That's a piece of cake. We come from the automation world, because our engineering team and myself, prior to this, our day jobs, I should say, at the time, our day jobs was building mission critical computer systems for airline control lighting systems and caustic chemical processing, stuff where if things don't work, like things explode and people die, and we don't want that to happen. Lots of money's lost in material. So the secret in the automation world is exactly that, is to really take away the things that humans are predisposed to maybe make a mistake on, or ensure that it never happens, because a machine can make sure that mistakes never happen. And it just so happens that automation was kind of the secret sauce that has enabled us to make it possible for anybody to stream without having to know anything about the technology. And that's what brands really care about. They really care about that event going really well.
Well, I'll tell you, it's funny that y'all started servicing, a funeral home. When I used to work at Microsoft, and then I went and worked for Dell Computer down in Austin, and I worked there for about 8 years or so. And when I left Dell and started my own company doing video production and audio production and web development and all that stuff back in 2000, I was looking for revenue streams, and it kind of hit me, hey, what if I videoed funeral services? So I put together a package and started hitting the funeral homes, and there were funeral directors that said, this is a great idea, but we don't want to pay to have it done. And there were others that said, you're sick. Why would anybody ever want to do this? It was one of those things. So to come 15 years later, and they're like, yeah, let's stream it. Now I guess I was just really way ahead of my time.
You and I have something in common. I never realized that. Well, we have a lot of things in common, but this is another thing we have in common. It's interesting. We've seen it too, this major social shift. When we first got started, we really felt that this was a tool that was necessary for the church to use in order to connect with people. And unfortunately, the church market isn't always a market that leads the charge when it comes to technology. The rest of the world had to say, no, this is a great way to communicate. This is a great way to share experiences. And oh, by the way, the church finally says, oh, okay, I can get in with that. But at the time, I mean, just the premise of what the gospel presents itself is inherently something that needs to be shared out and shown to the world. And they're not the first adopters on this technology curve, which is an interesting storyline in the history of our company for sure.
So how did you guys move into that? Well, actually, before we get into the church market, you were moonlighting at coding with some of your buddies and stuff. Were you guys all at the same company? Was this college gang or what?
So, for the most part, I mean, you can kind of think of it that way, just because it's, two of us were, another guy was doing something very similar, and we just busted out the soldering irons, grabbed a camera from Best Buy, threw a computer underneath the sofa parlor, and just soldered it together and built the solution. And they paid us well for it. I mean, it was a really kind of a neat one-off thing. It was a lot of fun to build. But that's when we realized, holy moly, we just did something that really could revolutionize or change or be a part of the acceleration of technology to capture video for experiences. We should make a business out of this. So we immediately filed for patents. And at the time, which looking back on it was probably one of the best decisions we ever made, but we spent a lot of money to do it the right way, because in our lives as building mission critical systems, I have a dozen patents from that world. And I knew that it would be necessary moving into the business world. If we were to make a business out of this, we'd want to have good intellectual property, because we were legitimately inventing the Internet of Things for video broadcasting. And once that was built, we then said, hey, we probably need to build it. I mean, we can make a company out of this, and I think this happens a lot. People that do consulting work where they're just taking whatever jobs they can, they really dream for one day building their own product so that they can invest in that product, versus doing a one-off deal here and there. It's kind of eating for today versus really planning a way to build something profitable into the future. Right. And it's wonderful to be able to build a business. It's a product-based business that makes you more money with time. So
you still have the original team?
You're not going to believe this. We launched now 4 years ago, and we'd done the patents, and we had started to try to hustle and grassroots it on our own. And we did that for a little bit of time, and then we ended up getting investment funding money that helped us go full-time ourselves. Our wives said, guys, we love you. We really love you, and we believe in what you're doing, but you just can't put the house on the line for this. And we're not super rich guys that can independently, take dad's money that he gifts us to start, businesses. And we knew that part of the solution was building encoders that can automate the whole process. And so we ended up taking a little bit of investment funding money, launching the company. And here, just a number of years later, we're at the point where it's really hit its stride.
You were saying that that churches have not led the charge in adoption and stuff. I'm looking at you guys, and I'm seeing you guys actually purposefully targeting the church market and other people, whereas other companies, I see them creating something to try to cast as broad a net as they possibly can, so that corporate can do it, and a home user can do it, and a small business can do it, and a church can do it, and a dance company, and and whoever else. And I see you guys like, we're going to do churches, and we're going to serve that market, and then everything else we're going to serve as well. And I get the impression that you guys are like designing for church first, for the simplicity, and then let's take it everywhere else. Am I right?
I'd say to a large degree that's the case. In fact, it might have been maybe not the perfect business decision when we first started to go after churches, because the churches weren't quite ready for it. And we've consistently gone after and tried to make this work for churches because we believe in it. And I think aside from it just being good business to go into churches, there's, from day one, all of the founders are really active in our churches, and believe that community of people are a big part of what makes America great. I mean, if you just look at statistics, the people that get involved in their communities just proportionally are mostly God-fearing, church-going people that just want to do right by mankind, and I love that. I love that. Yeah, there's some crazy ones out there. There's some crazy people that go to church, and there's some crazy churches. But by and large, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. What wonderful things are that are underpinning our society here in America is the churches. And so we saw an opportunity there from a business standpoint. We saw an opportunity there from, just a want to do right by mankind thing. That was an area where we were just delighted to serve. Unfortunately, the market necessarily wasn't as ready for it, though we continued to serve it. And we did a little bit of a pivot. We went after sports, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, we have like 13, 14, 15% of college athletics that streams on our platform. Nobody knows it because we're silently the guys doing it behind the scenes, right? There's a lot of people that are white labeling our products and doing it for major installations. But it's been wonderful because it's only fueled our ability to then continue to grow the company and come back. And now at a time when the church movement is really hitting, we're in a perfect spot to hit our stride. And so just from a business standpoint, I'm delighted that it's at the point now where it makes great business sense to go after churches. And I really believe that we've got a 2, 3, 4 year head start on a lot of other people in the marketplace, both in terms of, getting out and getting the customers and in just the product that's so suited for churches. And we're doing it the odd part is we're doing it at a price point that is better too. So not only do we have better technology, we've got a better price point than anybody else. It's, in my mind, it's a delight for us to be able to serve churches, because this is just a way for them to communicate.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I don't know if many people know this or not, but one of your sales reps / like partner guys, Brett, is like a former pastor, and I think that's really cool. That you don't see that in Silicon Valley.
No, you don't, and I think that a lot of churches can see a sales guy a mile away, right? But when they realize that at Boxcast, for the most part, I mean, all the guys that are calling on churches, they're professionally ministry trained, right? I mean, they went to seminary, or they worked in Young Life for a decade, or we've found that you can't fake that. That if you want to serve the church population, what churches need sometimes are what the spiritual needs that are getting addressed for them. And for our guys to be able to understand that and articulate that has really changed. I mean, 2 years ago, we were trying to teach people and trying to convince people that this is the way you could help your church grow. Now everyone's like, "Are you kidding me? This is the best marketing we could ever do." 9 out of 10 people that come to my church watched it first on online, and that's what made them feel comfortable. It's not a gimmick. It's not something that is an excuse for those that don't want to be there to be able to pretend like they're going to church because they watched it on TV. I mean, the people, what we found is this is nothing but an enhancer for the church. It helps them grow, it helps them engage the audience, helps everyone stay interconnected, because life takes us in a million directions. People do get sick. People have to go fight overseas at war. People do go away to college. They have to contend for their faith when they go at that critical point in their life when they're becoming adults. And do you want them to be tapped into what's happening? We believe that it's made such a difference, and all of our churches tell us that overwhelmingly when they start using our product.
I'll tell you, that's one of my when I'm talking and presenting for churches and stuff and doing workshops and stuff like that. I always kind of start with a 50,000 foot view. There's small and medium sized churches. Sometimes they don't understand everything that can be done with when they start incorporating live streaming. They see it as a wall that they have to climb, and they don't have the skills and the equipment to climb it, and they're not sure what to do. So when I start talking about that, I relate back to them that, Jesus said, "Go into all the world and make disciples, teaching them all that I've commanded you." And that we tend to, as a people, have shifted that from going out to opening the doors and telling people to come in. So come in here, and then I'll teach you everything that God has commanded us, instead of going out. And when it comes time, when you take a look at what streaming can do and what social media and what the democratization of information and communications, it allows us to grow to grow our church family internally, and to train and equip them internally, but then also to reach out. And like you said, people don't, when they move to a new area, they don't they don't call up to the Chamber of Commerce and say, I need a list of churches, or I need to know what Baptist churches are here. They don't grab the phone book and try to find the address for First Baptist Church or what have you. They get online and they Google, and determining on their location, that's going to be one of the primary factors of which ones are going to show up first. And then the ones that are creating regular content, just like any other company, any other website that are continually refreshing and putting out current relevant information, they're going to crop up to the top of the list. So churches have to become media companies, whether they realize it or not. And in doing so, I think they can reach people internally, and then, like you said, provide a means for people that are remote to tap back into that church family until they can find that in their current location.
So, you know what? Those things are so true. It is an amazing marketing tool, and you described this situation perfectly. They go to Google, they find the churches, and then you know what they're going to do? They're going to want to see a church service, and that gives them the ability to do it. And they're going to be able to see all the other church services in town. And if your church is the one that's not being the one to show them what your church is like, you're never going to be able to draw them in. I mean, this is no longer a defensive strategy. I think that's where the American church really has tried. Has tripped over itself, is try to be defensive of keeping people within the community. No. You have to expose the genuine wonder of what it is that you celebrate inside the confines of that church, so people can see it, and that will draw them in. And the other thing that just blows my mind is that, how many churches across this great country do we have, or across the world, where there are people that are the most dynamic, the most powerful, the most spot on, with message that can just cut to the heart. And I believe that the more that we have those ideas, those concepts out in the marketplace of ideas, the better off the church is. I mean, we're at a war. The internet is the battlefield. And I want the church to be putting as many, people to fight in that battle as possible. And that's another reason. I mean, to be honest with you, when I rewind the clock, knowing that was part of the drive, knowing that there was a battle that was happening for hearts and minds on the internet. And there wasn't enough content being put out there because churches were playing this defensive strategy. It's not expensive. It starts at $19 a month. It's not complicated. We've automated from top to bottom. It is necessary. And I mean, you're hearing the heart of what we're trying to do, because the church has to do this for us to be relevant in the decades to come.
I agree. It's so funny. You and I should have been hanging out back in '99 and 2000.
Man, we should have started this company in 2000 and totally
and just struggled for 10 years and then finally made it. we could have been broke and living in a trailer but it,
for the whole time.
Yeah, but we would have made it. So tell me what's going on. I'm sitting here looking at a Boxcast box. One of your demo units, and between you and me, it looks like a Raspberry Pi with some ports and stuff on it. Explain, if you would, how this works, what it does, and give me a 50,000-foot view of how this thing works, would you?
Yeah, the best way to describe it is we see that as a TV station in a box. So it's everything you need to make your video available online on your website. And the way it works is that we work with the churches to just put one copy and paste onto their website that they just do once. And then we basically just have to have that little box plugged into whatever audio is coming out of the sound system at the church, and maybe a camera in the back of the room. And now that video from the camera and the sound is what shows up on the church's website. The only thing that needs to happen is they need to just set their schedule. Maybe it happens every Sunday at 10 o'clock, or maybe it's a Bible study on Tuesday or Wednesday. Whatever events that they want to do, they just make sure that they're scheduled. We've got ability to schedule, it to happen every Sunday, and it's just all automated. There's no buttons, no switches on there on purpose. You do need an internet connection. Many of our customers just use a cell phone if they're in at the school gym. If they don't have access to a hardline connection or Wi-Fi, the box has Wi-Fi built into it. But you described it. I mean, it's actually like a Raspberry Pi in that it's a full-blown computer that's really small that fits in your pocket. But it's, that's this, and you're holding in your hands the sixth generation hardware, rendition of a dedicated computer that's got a little processor and all the other connections and process and the video inputs and the audio inputs to make sure that you have the best quality picture you can at your location, to be compressed down and sent up to us for us to do all the behind the scene work to make sure that whatever device they connect with, if they connect with their Apple TV, they can watch the video, or their Roku. If they want to watch it on Facebook, they just link Facebook with Boxcast and make the video show up there too. I mean, we're literally the one-stop shop for making that video go to whatever channels you want, onto whatever devices you want, and people just hit play. And all you had to do was make sure your schedules were scheduled and plug it into that box, and everything's automated from there. So we're kind of that end-to-end, don't have to worry about anything else solution.
So as I've been explaining this to folks, I tell them that it can be as simple or as robust as they want. That they can, this is the high def one, just the HD one. You guys do have a new one that's coming out that's going to be capable of 4K, but this one is like $500, and when they get this, they can literally, like you said, plug a camera in and plug it into the router and do it.
Yeah,
but
no computer. There's no computer needed for
right,
this.
Exactly. But if they are doing a more robust production, if they've got 2 or 3 cameras going into a switcher, or like at our church, we have a TriCaster, and the TriCasters, the more advanced ones can stream to 2 sources. But as I was explaining this to somebody, when you're streaming to multiple sources in a computer, you end up having to do, in essence, 2 encoding sessions. So you have to encode and send out to YouTube, and you have to encode and send out to Facebook, and you have to encode and send out to Periscope if you're streaming to Periscope. And then if you're recording, you got to encode and record. So you end up really taxing the system as far as resources go. With something like this, you can send it out, and because you guys not only do the encoding on the back end and stuff, but this is actually a hardware encoder, correct?
Oh, it absolutely is.
So all they have to do is take the signal. They just
Yep.
send a raw signal out, and this does all the work.
That does all the work, and there's so much more to it than that, because not only do we at the like after it leaves your place at the internet level in the cloud, we then can send it out to Facebook Live, YouTube Live, onto your website, onto the Apple channels, all that stuff. You don't have to have multiple different video data from the different destinations going up your internet connection. Even more important, or in addition to that, I should say, is that you only have to send one video quality up. Most of the people that you stream through force you to send all of the different resolutions, small, extra small, medium, large, extra large, so that when viewers watch it, it's perfect for their network speed in a device they're watching on. But at Boxcast, we make it so that you need the least amount of possible network connection to maximize the video quality you can get on the other side, which is a big deal. And you said it yourself. It can be as simple as a 1-camera shoot. We have iOS. You can stream from an iPhone too. We've got a wonderful app. It's literally 20 times better quality than Periscope, because Periscope doesn't send it in a high quality, because not everybody can watch the high quality. I mean, that's the fundamental reason why it's so bad. So we're talking streaming really good quality stuff. And to the point now, and you kind of alluded to it, where we've got the new guy that's coming out this summer that we're releasing, called the Boxcaster Pro, for those that have or want to stream 4K, 60 frames per second, HDR. Maybe they have super high-end cameras that take HD SDI. They can stream super high quality through this guy, which is just a little bit bigger than the one that you've got, but still could fit in some people's pockets, I guess, if they wanted to try to mash it. But I think it's important for people to understand, even with that box you have in your hand, that box right now is going all over the world to be used for TV production equipment. So you'll drive up this semi-truck of a TV production. They'll do all the work to make all of the replays work for sporting events and overlays, and then the output of what they have is going into that box now instead of going out a satellite dish. And that's kind of what's different about what we're offering, is we're offering the end-to-end as super simple, as super sophisticated as you want to do. We do major pro sports teams. We are the solution behind major pro sports teams. And it's really kind of whatever size your organization is. And that's what's nice, because we could grow with you. We've had some organizations that start with one box. They'll start with an iOS app, and they'll go to a box, and then they'll buy 4 boxes because they have all kinds of other things, and then they grow in sophistication, and then they want to start making money by charging people to come to concerts, and it just never ends, the possibilities of where we've grown with some folks.
This currently in my studio. This is my office and where I do all my editing and stuff. But in my garage, that's where my live set is, and that's where my TriCaster is. And I have an older TriCaster, so I've been trying to think. I wanted to simulcast, and so what I've had to do is take a feed going out of the TriCaster, take the program feed, and take it into another machine. So I've got, in essence, I've got the bandwidth to handle it. That's not a problem, but I don't have the guts, I guess, to handle it. So now I've got to send and start the stream over on Facebook and start the stream over on YouTube, and then of course I do the recording on the TriCaster and stuff. I love that this thing can handle all of that, and you can simulcast. And the services that you guys can simulcast to, is that something that's fixed? Is that something that is growing as new services come online? Or something new is going to happen every year.
Yeah, we're constantly growing that. I mean, we want to be the ones you go to first to get all the others together, right? So we've got Vimeo support, we've got Facebook Live, we've got YouTube Live. I'm sure there's others I'm forgetting, but it's kind of like you can go anywhere once you get into Boxcast. But the other part is, Dave, we've opened up our system so that in some situations where people don't want to take the wonder of that box, maybe they already have a TriCaster, you can send to us from your TriCaster. You can send to us from your Wirecast computer. You can send to us, from OBS, which is an open source broadcasting software that's free that churches can use if they don't want to use a box. So, I mean, yeah, the box costs $499, and if you don't have $499, you already have a computer, you got video going into, then you can send to us that way. The quality's not going to be as good because that box has dedicated encoding inside of it, but it's really wherever they're at. I mean, Paul talked about meeting people where they're at. When he went to Athens and there were idols, and the idols of the unknown God. I mean, you meet them at the level where they're at to build them up from there. Well,
and that's something that I was explaining. It's so funny. I was explaining to our sound guy the other day at church. I was showing him the TriCaster and what we can do with it. And I said, what I want to do is I want to get a Boxcast for the church so that we can simulcast, so that we can have a Facebook live stream. We can have the stream that's embedded on the website. We can have the YouTube stream. And he said, well, why would we want to stream to multiple platforms? And I said, well, because each of those platforms has different people that frequent those platforms. Why wouldn't they just come to our church's website and watch there? And I said, for the same reason that when we open the doors, people don't come flooding in. It's the same thing. They don't know to come to our church. They may not think to come to our church, but they may be on YouTube, and YouTube is the second largest search engine on the planet. And when they do a search for what does God say about, or what does the Bible say about, we should be the ones that are providing that answer. And then it clicked. And I said, the people that are on YouTube, it's an ecosystem, a social ecosystem, all into itself. And it's the same thing with Facebook. Facebook people, only way they'll ever watch a YouTube video if somebody embeds it, they're not going to go searching on YouTube. And there's people on YouTube that Facebook is for chumps. So they're just going to be on YouTube and working through the comments and subscribing and watching their show. So we need to be there. And that's part of being where they are. Like Paul said, when in Rome.
You said it.
Yep.
You said it. And the thing that helps us understand this problem is that we've watched Facebook, and they don't want the video to leave them. So when you're going to Facebook, well, congratulations, you've hit a demographic that is exactly in this window of people that still think it's cool. Forget the younger kids, right? And forget the people over a certain age that never made it to Facebook, and you can't just focus on one specific demographic. Like this is for everybody, and that's where at the end of the day there will always be a place for someone like a Boxcast that just wants you to be able to get everybody to reach those people and look the best you can. And that's the other thing, is you're looking the best you can. It's the most reliable way to do it because we've automated it out, and you're reaching all the people.
That's awesome, fantastic. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for visiting with us and sharing your story and for explaining your heart for this. I think that's really important. There are it's interesting. There are so many quote unquote Christian companies out there that are targeting churches and targeting the church market. And in some cases, I see them almost taking advantage of it because they're not necessarily putting their best foot forward. They're creating something that kind of locks a church into dealing with the little ecosystem. I see it a lot with web designers where they're not using the most. They're writing their own thing, which is fine, except that when it comes time to doing updates and stuff, you're only able to update within these parameters. You can't, if you want to make new pages or do something like that, you've got to pay for it. And I see churches getting taken advantage of a lot, and I don't see that with you guys. I see you guys looking to serve, and like you said, you don't want a box. That's okay. Here's how it gets.
At the end of the day, that's the only way it's going to work. And I mean, and Jesus never said anything about companies being Christian. They only talked about individuals, whether they were Christian or not. And at Boxcast, probably not everybody, not everybody's a Christian at Boxcast. I know that, but we have a lot of people that are and that care about wanting to do what's right. And over the long haul, it's going to catch up with you. So if we're always just trying to solve in the most creative way, we believe that that we will win because we're doing it for the right reasons.
Right. I agree. Excellent company, excellent products. Really appreciate your time, Gordon. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a delight to talk to you. Thanks so much, Dave.
That was Gordon Daly, CEO and founder of Boxcast. And if you understood everything that he was talking about, then you know just how amazing this little box is. The ability to be able to, with simply a camera and an internet connection, being able to start live streaming. It's, I show in our guide, the live streaming for churches the easy way. I talk about the 4 different modes of live streaming, and the 4 modes are selfie mode, which is running around with your camera and either live streaming yourself or shooting somebody else. Then there's like indie mode, which is when you kind of treat your camera or your phone more like it's a regular camera, where you maybe put it in a housing so that you can get you can hold it with both hands. You can get more stability. Maybe put it on a tripod. Use a shotgun mic or something like that. And then the other one is the next level up is desktop mode, and that actually, like in our chat room, that's what Chris Ochinsky is doing over at her church. That is what I started at our church. We were just taking a camera and feeding it into a Flash Media encoder and sending it out, and holy cow, the quality level was not good. It looked like a beat up VHS tape. So I was doing desktop mode, which is taking my laptop and plugging a webcam in and using that to get like a wide shot of the auditorium. And then I had a video adapter that I could connect to the Thunderbolt port, and I had that camera going into there. And I was using some free software called Open Broadcaster that is free. It's not elegant. It allows you to set up scenes like camera 1 and camera 2 and switch back and forth between them. And it worked. It did a really good job. And then, the final level is broadcast mode, which is actually what I'm doing here, where I'm using dedicated broadcast quality hardware. And, I'm using a broadcast quality camera that has a teleprompter connected to it. And I'm using a TriCaster over here that has multiple inputs and dedicated encoding hardware and all that sort of stuff. And it's more expensive, but it also yields a much higher quality, closer to television level quality. Now, you can get that when you're doing desktop mode, when you're using your laptop and better cameras and such. So it's the whole idea, is to maximize what you have and try to get the best quality and put things out as best you possibly can. But when you introduce something like the Boxcast into it, it takes away a lot of the heavy lifting and the confusion, I guess, when it comes to connecting your stream testing your stream, making sure that you've got good quality, leaving the device and going up to the cloud and then going out to the people. Because in their box, they do the encoding. So just a quick example. I've got a laptop sitting here. When you're doing desktop mode, when you're using a laptop to switch your video, do your lower thirds, do your other things like graphics or maybe sermon notes, images, things like that, that computer is acting as a television studio. So it has 1, 2, 3 video sources coming in. It may have a webcam or two. It may have another higher-end camera coming in through the Thunderbolt port. It may have a connection to a ProPresenter. You may be casting from ProPresenter and the machine receiving it wirelessly. I mean, you've got all these things happening in this machine, and each one of those is taking that machine's resources. And then on top of that, you want to record it, so that machine's going to be writing to the hard drive inside your laptop or your iMac. And then on top of that, you want to stream it out to the world, so it's going to be encoding that same video stream. So it's encoding and writing to the hard drive, as well as doing all the magic of switching sources and all that sort of stuff. And then on top of that, it's encoding and connecting to a remote source out in the cloud and sending it up there to Facebook or YouTube or what have you. So the resources on the machine start getting taxed. When you introduce something like this has the encoding built in. This has the connection built in. This does all the heavy lifting. So you just send the signal out through your HDMI port into this, let it do the magic, and the machine's resources are freed up more. You don't hit stream on your computer. You log into their thing and hit stream and go, and there it is. So anyway, this is exciting. This is really cool. This is one of the best engineered and best executions I've seen so far. This is a demo unit that's actually not working. I'm actually hoping to get one in and do a proper review for you guys and all that. And between you and me, I'm actually looking to make it a part of my environment here in an effort to deliver the best possible quality of my show and other things that I'm doing for you guys as well. And I know we're going to be looking at getting it for our church. Anyway, if you guys have any questions, please leave a note in the comments below. Don't forget that notes and links and stuff like that are going to be at churchtrainingacademy.com/001 because this is episode 1 of CTA Live. And if you guys are looking to do some live streaming, if you're looking to add live streaming into your church's ministry and you're not quite sure how to do it or not sure what's available and what's out there and what could we do and all that sort of stuff, then I've got a free guide for you. It's over at churchtrainingacademy.com/streameasy. And it's a free guide. Just leave your name and an email address and I'll shoot the guide over to you. And then you can start seeing what's going on and start playing around. And if you take some of the ideas that are in this guide, you can actually start adding live streaming to your church's ministry today, like right now, like at lunch with the pastor, if you're like the youth director or something. So, I mean, you could do it like right now. So, thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to be here every single Thursday at 11 p.m. Central Time. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so this is going to be Central Time. I am curious as we go the show, as the show moves on and stuff, I'm going to try to be as consistent as possible. I want one day a week at one specific time every single week that I'm doing this. Now, I don't know, since I'm dealing with the church industry and the church ministries and stuff, I don't know when you guys are having staff meetings. So, at our church, they do staff meetings on Tuesdays, which is why I did not do this show at 11 o'clock on Tuesdays, because my guys are in staff meeting. And so, obviously, I want them to be a part of the show, whether I'm interviewing them or whether they're watching the show. So I'm just curious if you guys would just leave a note or send me an email, dave@churchtrainingacademy.com. Let me know what time you think is good. In fact, I may even put out a survey because I want to make sure that I can get the largest audience that I can here while we're live. I don't want to be cutting into y'all's staff meeting time or your days off or anything like that. So I'm going to adjust according to what the majority of the audience says. So I will actually, over at, let me grab that lower third. There you go. Over here, I'm going to put a survey in there, and I'll send you guys an email. If you're already on our emailing list, I'll send out an email as well with that survey, just trying to find out what time is going to be best for you guys on a regular weekly basis. And if you guys have any questions, leave a comment below. send me an email, dave@churchtrainingacademy.com. Thank y'all so much for joining us, and I hope you guys have an absolutely tremendous week, a blessed week. I hope the weekend goes well for you. If you are live streaming, I want to know what you're doing, and I want to see it. So be sure to leave a link as well. You guys take care. Have a blessed day. God bless you guys.